to write your first HTML code. So let us get started without further ado. Okay, now let us create a file, right? So I've created a folder here, right? So this is the folder I've created. So open Visual Studio Code, right? And drag that particular folder in the Visual Studio Code. Then open your browser. So in this case, I'm just using Chrome as my browser, right? I really prefer it for its functionality and its capabilities, right? So this is the file, right, I've created. And last time we talked about this boilerplate and this the boilerplate, and inside the body, that's where we're going to be writing our content, right? So before we get started, I've installed what we call LiveServer, and LiveServer is just a plugin that works well with Visual Studio Code. Why we use it? It enables you to see the output or the results faster without refreshing the browser, because it's very tedious to write the code here, then you refresh the browser, you go to your right and refresh the browser. So that plugin does that for you. So how to install it? You go to, you see inside your Visual Studio Code, you open the Visual Studio Code, then to your left you see this sidebar, which is some settings. So you go to this particular icon whereby we see the two tips saying the extensions. So if you click that, it opens that panel. Then you search for this extension, right? So we need the LiveServer. Then it searches that LiveServer for us. Here you go, you see this LiveServer. If you click it, and it gets installed for you, which is simple and straightforward. So once that extension is installed in your Visual Studio Code, so what you have to do to open it, you either use this. If you look here at the bottom of Visual Studio Code, there are some buttons, right, or links to click, right? You click here where it is named Go Live, then you go live. It is the page or the document, HTML document page you're working on is opened, right, on your browser. So which is great, right? For example, maybe you want to, at this particular moment, I've just created one HTML5. Perhaps you want to create your own files. You just open, you go to your left, then you click this particular icon. It opens this space whereby you create your files, right? You can create a file, you can create a folder here. For example, if you want to create home.html, right, enter, that file was created for us. So in this case, we're going to, let me delete this one because we're not going to be using that particular file. We're only going to be using this particular file I've prepared for us, right? So basically that's what you have to do for now in order for you to just get started. Then if you go to your top, to the top there, if you click this particular icon, you see other options, right? File, maybe you want to create a new window, a new file, and also if you want to save, right, if you want to save your file, right, so you click this icon, you go to file, then here is the option to save, or if you wanted the shortcut, you just click Control Save, then you save your file. Because if you don't save your file, the output will not be printed on the screen, right? Or if you want to save as maybe you did not save it, you click this and you save your file, which is simple and straightforward. So for me, I've set the autosave here. You go here, instead of saving your file frequently, you just click here and you the file is automatically saved, then the output comes out. So basically these are some of the settings you have to understand right before we get started. So now without further ado, let us get started. So these are the tags that are not all the tags, are just the basic tags that I'm going to be teaching you so that you will be able to start writing code in HTML markup language. So before we get into writing code, we have to understand also how to write comments in HTML, and also even other programming languages that you're going to be learning. There are different ways to write comments. Why we need comments when you're writing code? Because sometimes we want to maintain the website, web application, or sometimes you want to see what this code is doing so that other people can read it and can understand, or even they can add or they can subtract. Perhaps you want to add a feature on a website, so if you don't know what this code is doing, sometimes you forget, and it will become it becomes difficult for you to maintain that or to add that particular feature because you don't know what that particular piece of code is doing. So that's where the comment comes in. Perhaps you have forgotten how to write HTML div or HTML tag. So if you have commented your code, you return back to that particular piece of code and you remind yourself that, oh, that's how that is written, right? So in order for you now to create comments, so this is how the comment looks. So when you write this, right, the interpreter or this code editor will ignore this text right inside this comment, right? It will not interpret this as a code because it's a comment, so it will not interpret it. So to write a comment in HTML, we just need this greater than and these two dots, right, less than and exclamation mark here, and these particular two dots, right? So to write this is very tedious, so there is a small or there is a shortcut. So what you do, you just here, for instance, you just write control plus this particular slash, right? So let us create it. For example, I want to create a comment, so we just control and slash, then the comment syntax has been generated for you just as quickly as possible, right? So that's how you write syntax a comment, right? It's the syntax for writing a comment. So I think basically that's all about comments. So now we want to create headings, right, in HTML5. Perhaps you are creating your own page and it requires headings for the users to see what this page is all about, right? So it is of much importance for you to understand that there are numerous headings in HTML5 with heading 1 up to heading 6. These are the headings we have in HTML5. So how to write these is, we learned about HTML tags and HTML elements, right? So we just say h1, right? Then when you write h1, this is the opening tag, and that is the closing tag, right? Whereby we see it with this particular slash, and is followed by this h1. So as we learned that this h1, right, is the name of the tag, which means is heading 1. H stands for heading, right? Heading 1, right? And this is the closing tag, and it has also the name of the tag, which is h1. So this is the first heading we have, right? So let us write inside here. So inside these, or between these, the opening tag and the closing tag, that's where we write our heading. So we can say perhaps let me say learning how to code, right? So my page is not open. So let me go live. Then that is going to be open for us. Then we start seeing the output we are talking about and see how that works. Now the server has been opened and now we are seeing our code live. So this is our heading, which is a heading 1. So let me increase a font a bit, yeah, like so. So this is heading 1 and it has a larger font, right? So let us create heading 2, right? For example, I can say let me write about animals. For example, I can say cattle. Now we see this word was printed, right? So we can write heading 3. Let me say chicken. Chicken has been printed. Then heading 4, let me say goat. Goat has been printed for us. Heading 5, let me say hen, and hen has been printed for us. Then let me say the last one, which is heading 6. Perhaps I can say sheep, right? So we see sheep has been printed. So the difference between these headings is the font size. And you see heading 1 is the larger font size, heading 2 is the smaller font size as compared to heading 1, and the list goes, you guess it. So up to heading 6, and the heading 6 is the smallest heading we have in HTML5. So that's how we create headings in HTML5, which is simple and straight forward. So let us move on. And let me comment this so that we can output other things we're going to be learning. Then also we have another very important heading in HTML5, tag, heading tag we have, right? And this is actually called a header tag, right? So this header tag actually contains the links, the navigation links, right? If you have seen a website whereby you click home page, contact us, right, pricing, etc., that particular navigation bar in some website, it has been put inside this header tag, that, right? So this header tag actually contains the navigation links, right, and also even it contains the headings. For example, you can say heading 1, learn HTML5. So we can put that inside this header, right, as a container, and we can even put the links inside this header. So in other words, it's just an introductory part, right, of HTML code. So that's how we create headers. And also sometimes you can put the search forms. So we are going to be learning about forms, whereby you put that at the top of your website, whereby the users can search your website and find the information they need. But also, however, it is of much significance for you to understand that this is must not be put inside a footer, right? Even the address tags, right, this must not be put there, but it can be put in other tags that you're going to be learning, maybe the main tag, the section tag, the div tags, etc. So that's how we create a header, and this is the tag itself. So let me comment that and move on to another section. So now another section that we want to be looking at is how to create paragraphs in HTML5. So it created paragraphs just simply just write the opening tag P and the closing tag P, right? which is simple and straightforward. So P represents paragraph, so this is the paragraph tag. As we see inside these with P, so we have the opening tag and the closing tag. So in between here, that's where we write our content. For example, I can say now I'm learning how to create a paragraph in HTML5. So that is our paragraph, and that's how we create paragraphs in HTML5. And as you see to my left, you see that paragraph was printed here, which is simple and straightforward. So now let us move on to another section whereby we'll be writing another tag, a very important tag, that is called article tag. Perhaps imagine that we are creating a blog application, or you're creating an application that is going to contain different articles, right, as part of your page sections. So we can write our articles inside this particular tag. And actually this tag, right, these tags actually self-explanatory, explaining that inside that particular tag you're going to be having an article, right? So we can write an article, for example, a paragraph. Then we can say this is my first article, right, ever. So we can write our article here. Perhaps we can even write our heading, a heading 1. Perhaps I want to write an article about HTML5 heading text. I want to write an article about HTML5 heading text. So this will be our heading, and this will be our article inside the paragraph tag, and these are wrapped inside this particular article tag. So that's how this actually tag works and is used. So as you see, this is our heading and this is our article, right? So let us also move on to another section whereby we'll be looking at section tag, right? So this section tag actually is used when marking up the web page. Why? Because it enables developers to section different content on the web page, right? For example, we need maybe a section that is about maybe the section contains article, right? So it contains an article. Let me say article 1, right? And with the paragraph, this is article 1, right? So this section contains the article. Then we can even create another section, right, that is responsible for maybe other links to other maybe articles, right, or maybe about the author, the section that describes the authors that are writing these different types of articles. Perhaps we can write a P paragraph that describes maybe about the website or about the blog application. So for example, this section might be about this blog. So we can say this is my first blog application. So we have divided our content on the page, right? So this section is all about the articles, and this section is all about the description of the page, or why we about section is about section of this particular application or this particular page, or about the company that is creating these particular articles. So that's the purpose of this section, to section our content on the web page. So let me comment that. So let us move on to another very important tag, which is main, right? So actually this is just like a container. It wraps all the entire content, our entire content on the page, right? It contains very important content of our web page. So it might contain all this we've written here. So let me just copy that and put it inside here and uncomment like so. So this, right, this main tag wraps all these sections of our content that we want to put on the web page, our article and our about section, and these are inside this main tag. So it's just like a container, and it wraps all the very important content of our web, which is great, right? So now let us move on to another section whereby we'll be talking about something very important. So let me say heading 1. So now we want to talk about creating horizontal lines in HTML5. So let me put this heading, this let me just say horizontal line, right? Then let me put a paragraph. So when I say this is my first horizontal line, right? So perhaps we want to put a line that separates the heading and the paragraph. So what should we do? Use this very simple tag HR. Then you see the line has been placed right between the tag, the H1 tag, which is our title, and our paragraph. So to create this horizontal line, just type this tag, right, less than greater than, then inside that you just write HR, which stands for horizontal line. So basically that's how we create horizontal lines in HTML5. Let me comment this. So now let us move on to another section where we'll be talking about breaking, right? So let me just copy what we've done here, right? So want to break, perhaps we might have many paragraphs that are so condensed, right? So let me create a very condensed paragraph here, and you see what I'm talking about. Lorem 50. So I've generated a long paragraph, so it's very difficult for users to read it. So we have to separate this paragraph into smaller paragraphs so that it could be readable. So as a developer, you must be concerned about readability of the content on your page. So I have selected this. I want here to have a break, so I can write this particular tag, right, which is BR, which stands for break. It enables you to break the paragraph into smaller paragraphs. So it pushes this particular text below it down, and it creates a paragraph for you. So perhaps this one, the divisions are not, the breaking is not visible, so you can add another break, BR, right? So like so, then you see now the division has been created, and now it's clear, right? It's very visible. So we have divided this particular paragraph into smaller paragraphs, right, so that it can be readable. So we can even write, we can even divide here. For example, I can say break, I need to break so that this can be visible. So we've now created 3 paragraphs, right, and this one and this one. So that's how we create breaks, right, in HTML5. Okay, now let us move on to another particular tag which is very important. We have a footer. A footer actually is just a piece of information that tries to explain, right, about a particular website or about a particular section of your content. So actually it contains maybe the author who has written a particular part of content. It contains contact informations, like you can put your emails, you can put your number, you can put other contact details. So maybe you can link that with social media platforms. You can put Facebook, Twitter, right, even your WhatsApp. So usually it's placed at the bottom of a particular section or of a particular page. So you might find out these footers are usually found at the bottom of a particular page, and also you might find it at the bottom of a particular section within a particular page, right? So to create a footer, you just type footer, right, this particular tag, and inside it you write whatever you want, and that becomes an element for us. So inside it you can write maybe contact us. Maybe you can write your number here, right? Maybe then to put it at the bottom of your page, it needs to be styled using CSS cascading style sheet, which you're going to be learning as time goes by. So that's the footer for us, and you're going to be encountering this while learning HTML. So now let us move on to another particular tag, which is called span. So span actually is a sort of a container, right, that helps developers to write to manipulate the elements, right? So for example, if I create maybe this is my first span tag, right? So in order for me now to interact with this particular element, I need a programming language, which means JavaScript. So this is easily manipulated by JavaScript, right, as an element. So that's why it is used, and also it's an inline element. So for example, if I put another, maybe like so if I put 3 of these elements, they follow each other, which means that's what we are talking about when I'm saying inline element, right? If you put another one, it follows where the other ends, then another one starts there, and another one starts where the other one ends. So it's just an inline element, and also is very useful when we want to style a certain part of a paragraph, right? For example, you might have many for example, let me create a paragraph here, lorem 30. So I've created this paragraph. Perhaps I want to style this particular element, right? So you've seen me generating this particular type of content of text, so don't worry about this. It's just a dummy text that is that has been provided for us as developers for demonstration purposes, so don't worry about it. It's called lorem. So you can just type lorem and you type the number of words you want. So in this case I typed 30, so these are 30 words. So for example, I want to style this text. So what I have to do, I can just come here and wrap it with a span word. So I can put that particular text here. So now this particular text, right, inside this span can be styled, and I want to emphasize it. Maybe I want to italicize it. I want to give it a certain particular color. I want to emphasize something important, right? So basically that's how we write. We use span tags. Okay, now let us move on to another section whereby we'll be looking at another tag is called div tag, right? So this basically is, div tag is actually a container like the main, it helps us divide the sections of our web page, or different sections of the web page, right? So for example, I can even write maybe I want to write a paragraph, maybe this is my description, right? Maybe it's description, this is my description. All right, that's my life description, right? So this particular div is responsible for life description. Then I can create another division whereby I will be talking about perhaps, let me say this is my academic description, right? So you see this particular div and this particular div are different, they have different content. So in this particular div we have the content, right, about life description, and here we have the content about academic description. So basically that's how we divide our web page content using divs. So div stands for division. So, and also you have to know that these are different from span are inline elements, and these are block elements. Why? Because if you write a container here, and if you write another container, it goes below another container. For example, if I put another one, it goes below another one. So that's being a block. Right, so now let us look at some formatting text that I use to format different types of text. For example, I need my text to be bold, so I can create a paragraph here. So I can say let me 20. Then I need this to be bold, this particular text to be bold, so I can copy it and remove it like so. So I can just I want it to be italicized, right? So in this case we are dealing with want it to be bold, so we just write that. So you see our text has been bolded, so I just write this open tag with B inside and the closing tag. Then inside it we write the text we want it to be bold. So that's basically how we do that. So let me copy that. Right, so we're just formatting our text using HTML only. Right, now let us also format our text, this one, using this particular tag. We want to mark, right, this particular text. So you can just say so we want to mark our text. For example, this is a very important text that we want our users or end users to quickly see once they visit our website. So we just put that particular text inside the tag mark. So we have the open tag mark and the closing tag. So as you see to my right on the browser, this text was highlighted. So once the visitor visits this particular page, he quickly notices that there is this particular text which is been highlighted using this yellow color. It is very useful when you want to indicate something on our web page. Right, so we now want to bold our text, so we just click B, right, then we bold, right, so we just write this open tag and this closing tag, then inside that bold, this our text has been bold. For example, let me write, this is my bolded text, right? So this text has been bolded for us. So for example, I want to italicize that particular text, so I can create another paragraph. So I can say this text has been italicized, something like that. So what should I do instead of doing that? I can write I, then I, So I means italics, right? So we want to italicize that particular text. Perhaps we want to emphasize more on that particular text, so which is great, right? So let me comment this so that you not get confused. All right, comment that. So the last part we want to talk about is how to underline. We're just formatting this text. I want to create underline. For example, this is how we underline a text in HTML5. So instead of putting this paragraph, so we can just come and write you. So our text has been underlined. So we write the opening tag and you inside it, which means underline tag, and the closing tag. Then this element then becomes an element, and the content, our content now has been underlined, which is simple and straightforward. So that's it. Basically, these are just general HTML tags that you have to understand to get started writing HTML code. So before I go, there are some shortcuts I would like to emphasize. So VS Code has that capability when you're writing HTML code. For example, if you want to write a paragraph, you can just write P, then you click tab. The tag can be created for you. You can write div, then you can press tab, then the tag you want to be generated can be generated automatically for you. So basically that's it for today. I think this has been understood very well. So thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video where we'll be talking about more tags, about lists, right, about forms, right, etc. So it's going to be fun and enjoyable.